So we're here talking to Dave, and we've got a product that I've seen before, I think at the National Hardware Show, and it's actually a really cool product. It's called, MuddSkip. So Dave, can you kind of like explain to us what this product is a little bit?
It's a powdered drywall additive that you can add to any drywall mud that you like to use. It can be used with a 5, 10, 90 minute mud. And it changes the mud so that, one, it applies much easier, it's smoother and creamier. And the big benefit of it is that after you put it on, you don't have to wait for it to dry completely and sand it and add another layer and sand that and add another layer. You can continue to add layers as soon as it firms up, so you don't have to sand between coats and make dust. And it allows you to finish much faster because you're not having to wait.
So how many layers do you think you could put in one day?
You can easily do 4 layers or 5 layers even. If you start early and tape, using a fast mud or a hot mud, then you can apply multiple layers of this within a few hours.
Right.
Because you're not having to wait. You can't sand wet drywall mud, so you have to let it dry.
Right.
But this, since you don't have to let it dry, you can just continue to add layers. So this one we put on about a half hour ago, and we can just get some more mud out of it.
So that's only a half hour ago you
applied
applied
that? About a half hour, yes, exactly. And you can just add more mud to it. Now normally, if you were to do this, it would start pulling the previous coat off of the wall.
Right.
And it allows you to trowel it multiple times, which you normally cannot do with drywall mud. It starts to pull away. And normally with mud, the more you trowel it, the worse it looks. With this product, you can trowel and trowel and trowel, and it just starts to look better.
That feels like?
Sure. And if it starts to drag a little bit, we just mist it with some water.
So definitely feels pretty dang buttery. So you can just continue to work this, but if it starts to pull and drag, you just mist it with some water?
Mist it with a little bit of water, and it rehydrates it. And I've got a wider trowel now. And you can get a really nice classy finish without having to sand, which saves tons of time, and obviously the dust is a big part of it.
Right. It looks like you have there's, I think, 12 layers.
Yeah, today we've been adding layers, probably faster than you would normally, but it's very forgiving. So if something happens to it, normally you would want to wait for that to dry and sand it. But we can fix that because we can rehydrate it, which you can't do with mud normally.
So I noticed over here, there's 12 layers applied, just today, and you don't have any alligator, you don't have any cracking, you don't have any bubbling, so.
Yes, normally it would pull away and even might sag.
Right.
And the product doesn't change the drying time or doesn't accelerate the drying time. It just changes the mud so that you can work it much longer.
So if I scratch this and put we'll just draw painter, probably can't see that, and they're all probably a bit harder. I think you have the product, you can fix that really easily without having to skim, say, some mud on there and waiting for it to dry.
That's correct. You could add more mud. Because this stuff feathers so nicely, you won't see the edge like you normally would if you pat something like that. But this
just
part right here would just rehydrate it a little bit and trowel it. And this one's pretty dry. But within 24 hours, you can continue to hydrate and trowel. And if it's dragging too much, you just add a little more water.
So is it what I'm actually pulling some of the product up? Is
a little bit, right. It's rehydrated the mud and turned it back into trowelable mud. Drywall mud normally does not like that.
You spray a little bit more right here?
Yes, there's a dry spot there, so we just mist that out.
So this right here, this middle part, that almost feels like Venetian plaster.
Exactly.
And this is just drywall mud.
If you mist and trowel, the more you trowel it, the smoother it gets.
So could I polish that, get a Venetian plaster feel to it?
Exactly.
And then I can prime and paint that right there and have a smooth wall?
You can normally get to paint the day after tape and mud. Yes.
Wow.
So it cut 2 days out of the drywalling process, drywall taping process.
So it's just a simple additive. So this is the powder.
Exactly. One bag of powder goes into 1 bucket of drywall mud or 1 bag of hot mud.
So one one bag of powder into one bucket.
That's right.
5-gallon bucket. One thing that we see quite a bit, in our market, we see a lot of orange peel texture. We see a lot of Sun Valley texture. But for somebody that just wanted, say, a level 5 finish, could I skim this product right over those textures and
Excellent
eliminate
use
it?
of the product, yes.
Right.
As long as the walls are clean, you can apply this and get to a level 5 in the same day. Again, because you can keep adding it without having to wait.
Right.
And you don't have to sand. And that's a really huge benefit because of the dust and because of it's an extra step. And you have to wait for it to dry to sand it.
Yeah, I see it's like a pretty cool use. I mean, we've eliminated textures by sanding and stuff to do Venetian plasters, and it usually takes like multiple days, 2 to 3 days. Now you can do it in one day. Absolutely incredible way to get rid of texture for smooth walls. So the value of MuddSkip, adding a product like this, you're adding a little bit of money to the product that you're actually applying now, but the amount of time you're typically going to be cutting the amount of wait time down in half. So if you're going to be working on a project for 5 days, you're going to be cutting it down to 2.5 days. If you're going to be working on it for 3 days, you're going to be cutting it down to 1.5 days. That time, that wait time, is going to save you a lot of money compared to the amount of money that you're putting in the product. And time is money. The least amount of time I'm on the job site, the more money I'm going to end up making. An absolutely incredible product, MuddSkip.